You know, truly one of the worst films ever made in Hollywood history is in theaters right now. Scream 7. It is a giant, flaming trash heap of dog dung. It is like truly one of the worst films I've ever seen. But as we talked about leading into the movie opening up, we said it was on the projection to get the biggest opening perhaps in the history of the franchise. And sure enough, it did, and it did by even more than we were projecting. From the playlist, Scream 7.
Ron, you got your back monitor on there.
Oh, so I do. Scream 7, there we go. Carves up franchise record 64 million at the box office. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking. That doesn't sound that big. I mean, you know, this superhero movie opens to 190, and this one opens to 130. Yeah, but this is a Scream movie. This is the biggest, significantly, that the franchise has ever opened at. They go on to write the following. Despite the worst reviews of the franchise, and despite the fact that it's one of the worst films ever made, fans still want to see Scream. Paramount Pictures saw Scream 7 take 64 million over the weekend worldwide. The horror flick picked up 97.2. Directed by the first film's original writer, Kevin Williamson, who has not helmed a movie since 1999's Teaching Mrs. Tingle, the seventh installment was not well received by critics, earning a 36% on Metacritic and a 33% on Rotten Tomatoes. Audiences gave it a B- CinemaScore, which would equal 2011 Scream 4 as the lowest in the franchise from the audience. However, at a reported $45 million production budget, this chapter could be a nice, profitable film down the line for Paramount. As a matter, well, it's not quite profitable yet, but it's almost there. I'd say probably even with a big second weekend drop off, and I do believe it will have a big second weekend drop off, it's going to be profitable. It's going to make money. And so there's a couple of things here about this. Like, we'll often talk about, you know, movies that did really badly on the opening weekend. And people will say, and well, maybe for a recognizable IP, and people will say, well, that was because the movie was bad. I said, yeah, but people don't know it's bad until they go see it opening weekend. They just weren't interested. The strategy that they employed by not releasing the review embargo until the day the movie came out worked. They kept it very quiet how bad the movie is, and it worked. Listen, Scream is a recognizable, and in the horror space, it is a beloved franchise. It just is. And that's why I argued a lot with people. Like, you know, they obviously lost their two main lead characters from the last two movies. Who plays Wendy again? Jenna Ortega and Barrera. I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. And I remember when they left, a lot of people said, that's it. No one's going to go see Scream again. That's it. Everybody's going to abandon Scream. And I said, well, if they can get Neve Campbell back, I think they'll be okay. Sure enough, they backed up the Brinks truck full of money to Neve Campbell's house. She is very prominent. I mean, this is basically a Sid movie, 100%. And everybody flocked out to a record number, $64 million. Guys, for this franchise, that is impressive. Whether I like the movie or not, it's irrelevant. That's impressive. Now, I'm predicting a big, huge second weekend drop, but this movie already is going to be profitable. They're going to make a Scream 8. Hopefully they'll make it better than this one. Hopefully they'll bring Neve Campbell back again. And we'll see how it works out. Anyway, Rob, you know, we were saying we thought this one had a chance of being the biggest opening in the franchise's history. It did it by a lot. What are you taking away from this?
Look, you know, any movie that does well is good for the business.
True.
And I think when you're dealing with a horror franchise that has an entry in it that's, say, less than great, the hope springs eternal. Like, I've never stood on ceremony when it comes to movies that have sequels behind 3, 4, 5, 6. If you're past 6, you're doing pretty well, you know. So especially in the horror genre, we've seen Friday the 13th. You know, we've seen, I don't know how many Texas Chainsaw Massacres there have been because they don't have numbers behind them. Some of them do, others don't. But I think in this case, it's astonishing that this franchise is 30 years old and still pulling in audiences. And
more than ever before.
Yeah, for a relatively small number. you know. So for Paramount, I mean, looking at their upcoming slate, this is probably the most successful film they're going to have for the next, I don't know, 2 years. So that's pretty good because they're in a lot of debt. But I'm happy. Look, I think it's cool that the franchise is still eliciting audience response. I think that it's okay that people are seeing it, and I like to see people going out to the movie theater to see movies. So it's a win for the business. It might be a loss for the horror genre.
They can, but I mean, listen, they can make improvements.
Sure,
they can hear the criticism and go, okay, here's how we can make it
Yeah,
better.
and Scream 8 could be the banger of all bangers.
It could be the Citizen Kane
It
of
could
the
be.
Scream franchise.
So look, if something's successful, I leave it at that.
yeah,
Good for
and
us.
by the way, as a side note, Rob, you know, one of the subplots here of the entire year has been the prediction that 2026 is going to be a very big year for the box office, right? Best since the pandemic 2019. This is the year that is going to make a big return rush. And I think it bodes very well that here we are this early in the year still, and something like Scream 7 can come out, which people were initially saying no one's going to go see this, and do this well, despite being a terrible movie, but still to do this well. Rob, I actually think this bodes not saying that every movie is going to be the biggest of their franchise, but I think this bodes very well for the rest of the year. People want to go see fun films, and I'm going to be curious to see how many people rush out to see The Bride next week. I don't think it's going to be big, but I think it's going to end up being bigger than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I have tickets.
Yeah. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mando. Guys, the time for spring cleaning has come, and to be honest, I'm actually kind of looking forward to it this year. I've been busy clearing out the clutter in the studio here and getting my camper van ready for the next movie meetup trip, but I'm also incredibly excited to keep using my deodorant. You guys know that a while ago I started using Mando whole body deodorant, and it has been an absolute game changer for me. Whether I'm sitting under these hot studio lights for a long live stream, or I'm out on the golf course recently. Yeah, I actually just took up golf. I need something that actually works. Mando was created by a doctor and comes from the founders of Lumi. One of the things that I love about Mando is that it's safe to use anywhere. We're talking pits, feet, and even the boys downstairs. It's clinically proven to block odor for up to 72 hours, which is honestly way better than a shower with soap alone. It doesn't just mask the smell, it stops it before it starts. Right now, you can get 20% off site-wide. Head over to shopmando.com and use my exclusive code Campea. That's shopmando.com, code Campea for 20% off. Support the show and tell them I sent you. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Scream 7, despite being one of the objectively, there's no such thing as objective in movies, but objectively one of the worst films in cinematic history. But listen, there's a hunger for Scream films, and people came out in record numbers for it. $60+ million opening weekend. Whatever you guys think about that, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.